All right, kids, I'm going to create a video here for this ball bounce tutorial. This is the final product, and I'll go ahead and hit test movie so you can see what it looks like at the end. All right, so I have directions in Canvas. I'll print them off for you, and I'm going to walk through this, okay? We'll create a new file. I'm going to use 400 by 250 pixels, frame rate of 12, ActionScript 3.0, hit create. Zoom in on the stage a little bit. And the first thing I want to do is import the original graphic into the library. So file, import to library. I'm looking for this AP19. It's in the library. I'll now drag it onto the stage, and you can see it's pretty large. So using the shift command, I'm going to resize it, and I'll also use the align command to align it to the stage. Here's the align palette. It's under, again, the window menu. I'm going to check mark align to stage. I'll choose center, and center still looks a little big. Try that again, and we're good. All right, now I want to make sure that this is 36 frames. So I'll insert timeline frames up to frame 36, and I want that showing the whole time. At this point, I'm going to lock this layer after I call it original. I want it to move. Kind of that's the first chunk of the handout. Selecting this, I'll create a new layer. I'm going to call this ground. Back to frame 1. Zoom in on it a little bit. I'm going to use my line tool along with the properties. I can change the line color and stroke here. I'll make my stroke weight 4, and I have a black line. I'll use the line tool here again. I'm going to hold shift and draw a horizontal line all the way across the stage. Now, this isn't good for you. We can change this by choosing the selection tool and creating a selection box. Give us this dot pattern over the object that tells us it's now selected. So if I want to make this a little thinner or a little thicker, we can do that there. And so I'm happy with that. I want this to remain the whole time, so I'll lock that. At this point, we've done some work, so I should probably save. I'm going to call this my last name, Ball Bounce Demo 23. Save, and it should be in the FLA file format. All right, with that layer selected, we're going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this ball. I'm going to select frame 1, and using the oval tool, which is behind the rectangle tool, I'm going to give my ball a fill of red and a stroke of black. I'll leave the line weight at 3. Again, in frame 1, I am going to draw, holding the shift key, a perfect circle over the top of that ball. And all of these frame and positions of the ball are numbered in this graphic, so that should help. Okay, I'll pick frame 2, and using my selection tool, I just moved the ball. Frame 3, move the ball. Frame 4, frame 5. Now you can see in the graphic the ball starts to get squeezed. So as I get closer and I want to modify this thing, I'm going to have it, it's already selected. We can tell that by the dotted pattern there. I'm going to choose the free transform tool, and it gives us handles where we can squeeze it and stretch it. We can rotate it to give it that look as if we're going into squash and stretch. Frame 6, I can now rotate it, and I'll keep adjusting this as needed. One thing you want to make note of in the original, if I go back to frame 1, you want to make sure that you have identified the size of that ball in case you need to redraw it. So in this case, it was 23.1 pixels by 23.1 pixels. All right, going back to frame 6, I now want to move it again. And I just keep doing this process. Okay. Now there's this thing called onion skinning. So onion skinning, what it does is it shows you previous positions. And there's some settings in onion skinning. If I hold this down, I can select all frames, and it'll show you the previous positions of the ball, just so you can see how this thing is transpiring. You also want to be scrubbing this thing, maybe every 2 or 3 frames, just to make sure that you're not skipping frames, because it'll look a little awkward if the ball jumps too far in a positional placement. All right, so you just keep doing this until you get to frame 28, and then I even just run this thing out to the edge here. So I'll go back to my previous example. You can tell that I've kind of stopped moving it at frame 30, and as I play it, it stops there. I have this set on loop. That's what this setting is for here. When you're done, again, control, test, movie and animate, just to check it out, make sure it looks good. After that, if you're happy with it, go to File, Publish Settings, uncheck Flash, uncheck HTML wrapper, check the GIF image. We want to make sure that this is animated, and you can choose to repeat it or have it loop continuously. Ensure smooth is checked, hit Publish,